What is up, listers? Pnote here with another Pnote Reacts to a Top 10. Today, going back to the Final Fantasy well and looking at Top 10 Final Fantasy songs and themes by Watch Mojo. Uh, should be pretty interesting. I'm sure they're going to do a one per game type situation, so I think it'll be pretty fun to see what they got. The video itself might be a little louder than normal. I did turn it up just so you guys could hear the songs. Hopefully that is a thing that happens. Anyway, let's jump right into it. Sure, I can hear it.
The captivating storylines, characters, and visuals aren't the only things that make Final Fantasy fantastical. The music is out of this world.
Yeah.
It's so popular. Orchestras have toured internationally performing sets from this JRPG
Distant
series,
Worlds,
and now it's time
super
to listen
cool.
to the best of the best.
Should just be from the games though, hopefully.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 Final Fantasy songs and themes.
They granted my wish.
Your wish?
For this,
So, I had a little bit of a different thought going into this. I have probably 3 or 4 songs that I think should be on this list, and at the end I'll let you know if they were or if they weren't, what they actually are. Anyway, keep moving.
this top 10, we're looking at some of the most iconic, well-known, and well-loved tracks from the main series. We're looking at the songs that truly captured the moment and that would be stuck in our heads for years to come.
Such a good game.
Naturally, with a series as prolific as this one, narrowing down a list of 10 was no easy feat, especially seeing as most recent games had over 100 music tracks. So keep in mind that
Yeah,
you're
like
giving
how many
priority
of
to
them are
the
actually
truly
good.
iconic songs that scream Final Fantasy, but not literally.
That's a good one. That should be on there.
Number 10, Terra's theme, Final Fantasy VI.
Okay, not bad.
Kicking off the list is the theme of Final Fantasy VI's beloved protagonist,
It's kind of
Terra
like
Branford.
my favorite Final Fantasy game, so I'm totally okay with that. Or the
Hearing her for
best.
the first time as
The best or
brainwashed
favorite,
Imperial
depends what
soldier
they
marches
ask me.
across the Narsh snowfields in her Magitech armor is downright haunting, and sets the mood perfectly for the game.
Not really haunting. Okay.
The piece is melancholic at times, hopeful at others, and perfectly encapsulates the mysterious half-Esper and her journey in one of the most timeless RPGs
Jeez,
of the
that's
series.
such a close-up.
Number 9, You're Not Alone, Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy
So,
IX
to be
earned a
fair, I do
reputation
know
for
the
being
song.
on the lighter
I haven't got that far into that game, probably. Like I mentioned in the other Final Fantasy video. 9 just hasn't jived with me yet. I'm sure it will at some point. We'll get there. But good song nonetheless.
and funnier side of the spectrum. But when it wants to do pathos, Final Fantasy IX goes hard. Maybe it's because we're so used to seeing Zidane being upbeat and cheerful that this scene, and its accompanying piece of music, is so powerful. It's an intense moment of introspection for the protagonist, as he learns the truth about who he is, and You're Not Alone fits the mood to a T.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I don't like agreeing with the videos very much, but here we are.
Number 8, Dancing Mad, Final Fantasy VI.
Okay. That should be a lot higher, in my opinion, but it's good to see that we're
Final
not
Fantasy
one
VI may
per
be one of the
game.
most musically ambitious games ever. Need proof? Just listen to its final boss theme. A nearly 20-minute long piece divided into 4 movements,
It's solid.
synchronized with the boss's 4 forms, getting more and more insane as it goes on, which sounds just about right for a villain like Kefka.
How is that number 8, I guess, is the question. Anybody that's played that, where would you put that in your top 10? It's got to be higher than that, right? Glad it's on the list at least.
Number 7, One-Winged Angel, Final Fantasy VII.
Okay. So we have arguably two of the probably 3 or 4 most well-known Final Fantasy songs out there for people that aren't even necessarily into the games, and they're at 7 and 8. Interesting. What does that mean for later?
Super epic final boss themes. It's the most iconic final boss theme.
I'm a little
for the most
nervous about what they're
iconic
going to put at
final
the top.
boss.
This song is a banger, though, dude.
Featuring a Latin
What
choir,
language was that
making
in?
it the first time actual voices were heard in Final Fantasy game, and played during one of the most memorable battles in the series. Sephiroth's One-Winged Anthem is as beloved to gamers as
giving
the
me the
One-Winged Angel
goosebumps.
himself.
There you go.
Number 6, Theme of Love, Final Fantasy IV.
Solid choice. I'm okay with that one.
If you can imagine it,
I'm okay
Final
with its
Fantasy
ranking.
IV was actually a significant step up in RPG storytelling. And at the center of the story of moon visitors and spoony bards was the budding romance of Cecil and Rosa, one of the series' first canon couples.
Why they gotta use like the crusty 3DS version? Like, I just don't like
it was
that
a pretty
version.
standard love story, but for a
That's
1991
better.
Super Nintendo
PSP.
RPG, it was pretty darn sweet.
Another one of my favorites. No Final Fantasy
Sweetness
X
is
yet.
captured in this theme
No
song,
Final Fantasy
which has
VIII.
come to represent the game as a whole.
No Final Fantasy 1. Okay. They'll get there. They should get there. Hope we check all those boxes.
Number 5, Opera, Maria and Draco, Aria de Mezzo Caratere, Final Fantasy VI.
So, the fact that we're 5 songs in and 3 of them have been Final Fantasy VI, or 6 songs in, 10, 9, 8.
So let's say
7,
that
6, 5.
hypothetically, Dancing Mad did
Anybody that
convince
wants
you
to
Final
argue with
Fantasy
me
VI is a
that
musical
Final
masterpiece.
Fantasy VI doesn't have the best soundtrack, not only of the Final Fantasies, but maybe of any game of all time, come at me, bro.
In that case, look no further than Maria and Draco, a complete opera coming out of the Super Nintendo's primitive sound systems.
I mean, like they said, for
It has singable lyrics,
a Super
4
Nintendo
impressive
game to
movements,
elicit
and
such
a whole
emotion
lot of
from a music
character.
track is really just definitive of that whole game itself, in my opinion. I'm a little biased.
And if you're still not convinced, then there may not be hope for you at all.
God, hopefully you guys can't hear
Number
the dog.
4, Clash on the Big Bridge, Final Fantasy V. Running for your life with a horde of monsters on your heels in a strange alien world has never been so fun thanks to one of the catchiest jams in Final Fantasy history.
Been a lot of games too. And that's
Not only
13.
does it intensify this already epic
That's
sequence
5.
from Final Fantasy V, but it's come to be known as the theme of Gilgamesh, one of the goofiest and most memorable recurring characters in the series.
That's 12.
And every time he appears, so too does this epic theme appearing in as more recent as Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah. I'm okay with that one. That's solid. Oh, they got the thing in the
Number
background?
3, The Promise, Final Fantasy XIII.
Yeah, that is. I can feel that.
Even
Coming
when the
through
man
the
behind the
speakers.
music,
Not a
Nobuo Uematsu,
huge fan of
passed
that
the
game,
reins on to a
but
new
that is
team for
a
new
that is a good
generation of
song.
Final Fantasy, they still delivered on all fronts.
Like a really good song. It's not better than Dancing Mad or One Winged Angel though.
Featuring
So
vocals by Francis Maya,
okay,
this
whatever.
melancholic and sentimental piece serves
That's
as
why
the
these
main
are
theme for
opinions, and
Final
that's why I get to
Fantasy
react to
13,
them, right?
And as the character theme for Lightning's sister Sarah.
Getting phone calls while we're recording. I don't care about that. That's fine.
Whether you love 13
Making
or
sure
hate
nothing
it,
wrong with the
you
kiddos.
can't deny that that's some pretty music.
With 2 songs left. 2 songs. 2 songs. Again, we haven't seen Final Fantasy X. Alright, let's start at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 8, 10, 12. Technically 14. Technically some of the other ones with the Gilgamesh song, Clash on the Big Bridge, but what's number 2 and number 1? Number 1's pretty easy. If you're not new to top 10s, you already know what number 1 is. But what's number 2? Better be what I think it is.
Number 2, Aerith's theme.
Interesting.
Final Fantasy VII.
Like the PC version. I can't argue
Don't worry,
with that
take a second to compose
song
yourself. It's hard to argue this
at
one.
all. He just said it. I can't argue with it.
Matching one of the most emotional scenes in the series' history with one of the most emotional pieces of music ever composed, and you can be sure you've made an impression on the hearts of gamers everywhere.
The dog is up there just barking
As soon as
over
those
and over.
first familiar piano notes start playing, gamers everywhere know to grab a tissue, remembering the sweet, loving flower girl from Sector 5.
Emotional damage. Well,
Before we reveal our top pick,
okay.
here are a few
Honorable
honorable
mentions. There's 3. But we still need 8 and 10 represented. Oh, and 15. Yeah. Whatever on 15, I guess. Oh, that's fire. Forgot about that song. There's 10 though. Where's 8? 8 gets no love. That's a good song. Number 1. Battle theme from 13, also solid. It can't be the one that I want it to be.
Number 1,
It is.
Designer Final Fantasy X. It wasn't an easy pick, but here we are. The main theme of Final Fantasy X.
You guys.
And the very first thing you hear before starting your unforgettable journey through Spirit.
Oh. I'd play that game again right now.
If you hadn't noticed by now, emotion counts for a lot in making a piece of music work, and the
Apparently.
haunting, lonely melody of To Xanarkand has emotion in spades. And once you get to the actual moment in the story, you start to really understand the tune's emotional impact.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, not to spoil anything, but like you hear that pretty early on, and then you don't hear it again for quite a while. It's a pretty big gap in between it, but he's right. When you get to that point again, the emotion there is just killer. Like thumbs up.
We can all agree that there's nothing quite like starting a new Final Fantasy, and being sent off with this magical theme promises an adventure like no other.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So that's their list.
Do you
Save you from their nonsense. Do a big picture here. So what do you guys think of that list? What was missing from there? Big hits for me that were missing. Man with the Machine Gun from Final Fantasy VIII. Eyes on Me, also from Final Fantasy VIII. The Final Fantasy theme itself, you know, that everybody knows. I guess they probably didn't want to throw that in because it's in really every game. But there's tons of songs. What's your favorite Final Fantasy song? Let me see it in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm trying to make these videos more often than not. I've been a little lazy. lately, but we'll turn this one out. Let me know what you guys think. The old like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.